Good evening. Welcome to the Living in Utah Thursday edition question and answer session. I am Mike Gallagher. I am a real estate agent in the state of Utah. And on this show, basically, it is an open platform. You're welcome to ask any kind of questions that you would like. State of Utah, maybe the United States, real estate investing, whatever you'd like to talk about. I just got here. Actually getting the computer going in the last minute. But it's good. Hello, Curtis. Hello, Governor. I'm mistaken that the last time I thought you were implying that I should run for governor. So, how are you doing? All right. We have 2 houses for sale this week in the Craneville Estates part of Clinton. Do you think the increased amount of properties mean the home prices will drop? I do not. We do have a little bit of a bump in homes. I believe we're about 2,900 active homes throughout the Wasatch Front, which is a very low number still. I know it was as low as 1,900. But there's a couple things that play into factor with that this time of year. When school ends is an ideal time to put your home on the market. A lot of families do not want to move during a school year. So we do get an increase in homes. And summertime. It's a busy shopping season. So, but I do not think that's going to change the home prices at all. It's still a very crazy market. I don't see anything in the horizon that will change the home prices for Utah as I see it right now. I imagine that at some point, anything can happen as time goes by. Nobody can predict the future, but as far as right now, I don't see anything change in the home market at all. So no data. And I was pretty good about it. So, I seen the last crash, 08, 09. I don't want to say I predicted it or whatever, but there were some telltale signs. The adjustable rate mortgages were just crazy. 05, 06, I saw people taking out mortgages, $2,000. And then in 5 years time, it was going to bump up to $3,000, $3,200. And they were being told, 5 years, 7 years, you're going to be making more money and you could afford that payment. And I was just thinking, wow. I understand that people's wages go up, but not by that amount of money, typically. So I saw a lot of writing on the wall with that. So, and then of course, new home construction, which I was in, you sell builders all around you. When builders start giving not discounts, but throwing in things for free, that's when you want to take a little bit of an eye. And that's what was happening back then. Builders did not want to lower their price, but they were throwing in, landscaping packages and finishing part of your basement or granite countertops, anything to try to get homes to move a little. So those are some of the telltale signs. And of course, the last crash was a financial crash. Basically, they were giving loans to anybody. There was a joke going around, no job, no income, you're qualified. It was true. They were just printing out loan documents left and right. So it was a lot of fraud going on. We do not have that fraud anymore. Not that I'm aware of. So, all right. How is it going? It is going great. Great time in Utah. If you're joining us from another state, we had temperatures in the 90s earlier in the week. We just today had a little bit of a cool front come through. Today's high was like 70 degrees. So it really cooled off, but it's supposed to pick back up coming into next week. Beautiful day outside today though. So hello, Claudia. Mike for governor. That's what Mr. Curtis, he made a comment about a governor or something the other week, and I took it to mean that I should run for governor. And he later explained that it's a term that he uses. So Yep. Phone number is on any of my videos in the description. You'll find my phone number and email address. So real easy to find. What I was going to talk about this evening was some news that's happening around the state of Utah, especially if you reside in another state. To know what's going on in the state of Utah at the current moment and how it affects people who live here. So one of the first things I wanted to talk about, which is kind of exciting, I think, on my part, someone who enjoys to travel, we have a new airport in Salt Lake City. So they built a whole new airport. I believe they have torn down the old one. I haven't been. With COVID, I haven't flown since before COVID hit. So I have not been to the new airport or to even see if the old airport has been torn down. But I've heard that they are tearing that down. But along with it, one of the goals with the new airport is they want to become more of an international destination. They believe that if you can have nonstop flights into Salt Lake City, it'll increase tourism. And I go along with that. I mean, I really do believe that too. Nonstop flights is great. So they think it'll help for the national parks in the summer, and then also the skiing season during the wintertime. So it's been announced that there's going to be a nonstop flight to Germany in 2022. So next year, nonstop to Germany. Now, we had some nonstop flights before COVID hit. We went to, we used to go to London, Paris, and Amsterdam nonstop out of Salt Lake City. Those flights were canceled with the COVID. We also had nonstop flights to Calgary, Toronto, and Vancouver. So they plan on putting those flights back on the calendar, is what they're talking about. They're also talking about some nonstop flights to a lot of the Mexican cities like Cancun, Los Cabos, Mexico City, Puerto Vallarta. So they're looking at starting that actually this summer, nonstop flights to some of those tourist destinations down there. So it's kind of big news for the state of Utah. New airport, tourism. The state evolves around tourism. It brings in a lot of money. So, and I just had a conversation with somebody this afternoon, and we were actually discussing a little bit about, it was a little bit about politics from the current state that they live in, and they're not too happy where they're at. And they were asking me, do I think that the viewpoints of Utah will change in the future? And you can never say never, but I felt that I don't think it's going to change. And some of that's to do with the tourism that we have in the state. Brings a lot of money to the state of Utah. So if you start shutting down recreational areas and places like that, it does hurt. So we were having we had a very dry winter, very little precipitation this winter. They rely on snowpack in the mountains to provide water for your yard and drinking water. So the governor has actually put in a fireworks restriction, which being so dry, they're worried about fires. So there is going to be a firework restriction on all state managed lands. So would not affect your own private property, but on state managed lands. So it's a big problem right now with the temperatures we've had. We've had some really warm temperatures. And along with that, they have also suspended campfires, target shooting at all Utah wildlife management areas. So once again, it's for the fire danger. Campfires get out of control sometimes. Target shooting, there have been fires before because of target shooting. So the state has 146 wildlife management areas, and due to the extreme fire danger, there will be some restrictions in place. And I do not see this changing this year unless we get some precipitation, which we typically do not get this time of year. So June, July, August, for us to get rain or anything like that would be is usually pretty rare. Another article that popped up in the news here was Summit County. So it's one of our most expensive counties in the state by far. The average home price up there is roughly $1.7 million. And they're saying that it's very expensive for people who work in Summit County to live. They can't afford to live there anymore, especially when we're talking like police, fire, medics, et cetera, on what their salary is when the average home price is $1.7 million. So they're trying to come up with ways to possibly lessen the burden to live up there. And I've actually, for years, many years, this has gone on. A lot of people who have jobs in those areas that can't afford to live there usually commute. They commute there. So, and that has gone on. But now it's the attention of the state. They're going to try to work on something. Don't know what they're exactly going to try to come up with, unless maybe some kind of subsidized money to help with people's rent or mortgage payments. But you don't know how that'll all play out if that's what they're thinking along those lines. It's very unique. I had somebody reach out to me, and this was probably about a year ago, and they were looking at moving to the state of Utah, and they were contractors, and I think they were concrete contractors. Not 100% sure if I remember. And they wanted to set up a business there because there was a big need. And I explained to them that the reason there's a big need, because any of your construction workers typically are going to come out of Salt Lake County to those areas. To have a business there and to live in Summit County is very expensive. And that's why you don't see a lot of those businesses located in the county there. Most travel from other counties in Utah to service those areas. And so, yeah, they were looking at houses and places to rent, and they were like, wow, I can't believe what it costs. So I said, yeah, you have to be a little bit careful when you're trying to examine a business plan. Just because you don't see anything in the county, a particular trade or a particular business, doesn't mean it's not being serviced by an outside area. And that's what's happening in that county. It was being serviced by outside areas. Most of them companies just couldn't or didn't want to afford what it costs to live there. So, okay. So I left one of my favorite articles to the end. So we have a 4-time Olympian speed skater by the name of Catherine Rainey Norman. She is going to be the chairperson for the bid committee to try to get the Olympics back to Salt Lake City. So we held them in 2002. There's a big push from the state to bring the Olympics back to Utah. So she is going to be one of the key people on trying to bring the games back. And they are shooting for 2030 or 2034 is the 2 Olympics that they are putting their name in the hat to try to bring the Olympics back. We have the facilities. The facilities are still around. I drive by them all the time. So opening, closing ceremony was up at Rice-Eccles Stadium. Everything is still in place. Up by Weber State College, they have a training center. They had housing they built. It's now being used by the students at Weber State. So there is places and throughout the whole state to handle the Olympics again. So they are going to try. And I think that relates to real estate in Utah. I noticed from 2002 onwards is where we really started climbing with real estate prices and population moving into the state of Utah. So whether it was rent or home purchases, that climbed. And I just feel that when we held the Olympics, some people came to Utah for the first time. They came here for a week or two, enjoyed the Olympics, had a look around. Some people decided, well, maybe I'll buy a townhome, a condo, second home, third home. And some people maybe had a job opportunity. Something popped up with a company they work with or another company. And they were like, well, we went there for the Olympics. Maybe I'll take that job offer in Salt Lake City. or Provo or Ogden or wherever, and kind of increase that population. So if we hold the Olympics again 2030 or 2034, I think the same thing is going to happen. People will come here on vacation, and some people will say, I like the area. Some people say, I don't like the area, or they'll look into it a little bit more. And if they get the opportunity, they may move to the state of Utah. So that's my feeling about that. And if we do get the Olympics, and it's a big if, it's all up to the Olympic Committee. They could say no. They could say, you've had it once. We will not choose you again. I'm not too sure how it all plays out, but I will keep a close eye on that. But my opinion is after the Olympics, we will definitely probably see home price values increase even more. So more people will have their eyes open a little bit and consider Utah as a place to live. So it's all good. Any more questions this evening? How is the weather where everyone is located? How are things going where people are located? State of Utah is doing fantastic. We are coming out of this. Our economic recovery is on track with very low unemployment. Businesses are booming everywhere. Maybe not as much in the hotel and restaurant industry. I think it's coming back. It's probably nowhere near what it was pre-pandemic, but I think it's getting there. I think this year it'll be back to normal the second half of the quarter for sure. We are opening the state pretty much wide open now. It's just been announced. We got concerts coming here. Garth Brooks will be here. I believe he's here in July. Like college football games have announced full capacity. So it looks like everything will probably be open. And I don't see the restrictions coming this winter that we had last winter with the ski resorts, the long lines, because of the rules we had with the lifts and everything. I think it's just going to be wide open. Business as usual is how I see. Unless there is a new wave of the virus and it starts spreading, et cetera, et cetera. Don't know about that. So don't know if that's going to happen. Any more questions this evening before we wrap it up and call it a night? We are headed to Pioneer Park this Saturday for the farmers market. Have you ever been? Any good? I have not been to the farmers market in Pioneer Park. I have been to the farmers market in Ogden, Utah on 25th Street, which is very good. I love it. It's fantastic. I believe Pioneer Park will do a good job also. The one that they hold in Ogden goes from Wall Avenue all the way up to Washington Boulevard and packed full of vendors. So, and I'm not 100% certain if the one in Ogden is going. I haven't looked into it this summer. But I believe I would imagine they are. But yeah, Pioneer Park would be a great place. Yeah, I haven't been to the farmers market there, but the farmers markets do a good job. One thing a nice area to go to will be when we start harvesting peaches. Go up towards Brigham City, the Willard, Perry area. Highway 89. There are all kinds of peach stands throughout. Some beautiful, amazing peaches, freshly grown right there in that neighborhood. So if you enjoy peaches or want to make peach pie or peach jam, and you want some high quality peaches, look for that. I think usually around August, September timeframe. So I actually have an event in Brigham City called Peach Days. They do a car show and a lot of other festival things going on. But that's great. Great little drive up there. Some amazing peaches. So grabbed a couple myself from time to time. Any more questions this evening that we can answer? Well, I'm going to call it a night and be back next week, same time, same place. Thank you, everybody. Take care. Stay safe.